For anyone who doesn't already know, Jimmy Momo zones will draw lines where there are significant candles and define an area that you can use to decide where you want to enter or exit a trade based on the price activity. So, for example, you have a significant candle like this. We'll draw a line here at the open, and that'll define the range for this candle. Because a lot of what happens with price action is it will try to reclaim that area, and if it does, then all of this candle was for nothing. But if it holds it, then you can have another candle that gets created in the same direction that will try to continue that price action. And if the candle is significant enough, it draws another level, and that's where price has to beat that before it can continue on. And here you can see that price is rejected. So this is the basic Momo zones is just that. And this is all based on James LaFaith. You can look him up on Twitter. He came up with this whole idea, and he's got a whole trading system around this. And this is just showing some of the levels there, not what necessarily to do with them or not. And he kept asking whether or not I could put this on higher, like put a higher time scale on a different chart. And I didn't think I could because of the way it was written, but it turned out that it actually wasn't that difficult. So now the way I've got it is you can overlay, and the settings are different too. So if this is that's the moving average. If this is if you've already used this before, you'll see that this is sort of streamlined. There aren't as many choices in here. There's an addition now to show lines. If you turn this off, then it'll be like the old zones where you don't have the border on it, but the lines define where that zone starts, and it stays. It doesn't turn from red to green when price action moves through it. Only the zone does that to show that it's moved from support to resistance. But the line stays the same to let us know what kind of original candle it was. So if it's green, then originally it was a long, and if it's red, it was originally a short. So this candle here is red, has a red, and I've actually I've tweaked the settings in global here to make these a little bit more transparent for the smaller zones and stronger for the higher zones. So for the bigger zone here for the day, it's going to be brighter. So I know that that's the zones that I want to pay more attention to here. But you can see that, like on the 1 hour here, this has got 1 hour, 4 hours, and day, and you can tell it's 4 hours. Use absolute timescale is how you overlay a higher timescale, a 4 hour on this chart. So it doesn't matter which chart it is, as long as it's lower, you'll get an error message if you try to do it higher, because the data just doesn't exist for that. The rest of this, you can have up to 20 zones. If you add more, it won't add more of them. 20 is the limit. And that's just for processing, and you have to hard code all those things. The use range is cool. If you want to use the chart range, so this is a 90-day chart. It's using that full 90 days to pull all the data from, but you can also specify a number of bars, where if you want to use only the last 100 bars, you'd hit bars and then put the range as 100, or days, and you could set that to 3 days or something other than just the chart range. So it'll just show you the top 20 in that range. But this timescale is the real game changer here, because now all of a sudden you can overlay higher level data on lower level charts, which makes it very easy to see where you can make some trading decisions based on higher chart activity. So for this one, I've got 4 hour. This would be the 1 hour, and this would be the day charts on this one. And I like that because it defines just about all of the price action that I could imagine. You can see that these two charts are relatively similar. This one has the 4 hour. I think this one doesn't. But they're pulling from the same range. They're both 90-day charts, so they're showing like the same significant levels, and those match up. And then as you move, the price action moves through these levels like this. They've already been defined. I mean, it'll start a new one right at the candle, so these are older levels that are still there. And price action is respecting those older levels. So because they're higher chart periods, they have more weight, and so you can see price action hitting it, and then it needs to retest it, and it fails and drops down to lower levels, and then it gets all the way down to here, which these are all daily levels here, and then bounces back up from there. Finally, does make it through this one, retest it, and then continue on further, and then stops at this one. So I mean, you could put profit targets in at these, because there's not really any way to know for sure which level it's going to stop at, but you can definitely predict that these levels will be respected in some way. You can see the price action is pausing here. It breaks and then retests, breaks and then retests, and here it broke again, but didn't actually sink beneath that level. So you can continue to use this level as an entry. So once it price comes down here again, you could get in and capture this whole move. Maybe scale a little bit at the lines just to make sure you're locking in some of that profit. But then again here, it couldn't quite. It breaks through, but couldn't retest it. Didn't break and retest. So it comes back down here and sort of flirts with falling through this one until it tries again, but doesn't even make it near this line, so it's destined to fall. And then today, there was some question about why it would fall this far. Based on the news, everybody's sort of confused, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's plausible. But really, what's here? There's nothing here stopping it from falling. So once it fell through that level again, it just kept going. I mean, it was definitely news propelled it, but the expanse here is, I think, just due to the lack of other price levels at this, at the higher charts. And that's just my guess. You should definitely look up James on Twitter to ask him questions directly. But right now, I mean, I'm sort of waiting. I mean, the trade I played here was I'd gotten in after this bounce and then rode it up to where the price action sort of stalled up here. And that was it was great. It was easy because it gives you the confidence to stay in, knowing that these are higher levels, and if it holds these levels, it's going to go a lot further. Because now you're playing a larger chart, even though you're on a 1 hour chart here. These are 4 hour and daily levels, which is great because now you can just sort of move through them and see what they're doing. But again, you have to have the range to do that. So this is a 90-day range, and you can see that here, like on this side. This is a year of data, and if you don't have all of the history, it won't show up. So 20 days is only going to show you a little bit here, so you're going to be missing out on all of these upper levels that already existed. So unless you have enough of a range, it won't pick it up. But the problem with that is that, like with a 1 hour chart, 90 days is going to take forever to load, particularly if you have more than one set. And on these, I think I have 3. So it takes a while to load, and it's a memory hog the more you have. So you have to be judicious about how you deploy these. Like, I wouldn't necessarily keep this 4 hour chart up here, because this 1 hour chart is showing me the same data, and even with a little more clarity. So I don't necessarily have to load 90 days worth of 4 hour. If I just want to see the 4 hour price action, I can just take all of that off, and look at it here for the bigger move. The way I had it set up initially was that on each chart I would have the next higher chart's successive ranges on it. So like for the 10-minute chart, I'd have a half an hour range plotted on it, and then for the half hour I would put the hour, and for the hour I would put the 4 hour. But it turned out that what I was really looking for were these bigger intraday moves. So I wanted the daily and the 4 hour on one chart, and that really ended up giving me the range and the detail that I wanted. I mean, you can see how well respected these lines are. It's like magic. I mean, this is really cool to see this working, and these are all the higher level charts. So this is a daily line here. This is a daily line here. So wherever in the price history, there was a significant enough candle to create this line, and we know that it was a long. So what we're trying to do is capture these and hold them for further, but the shorts are going to try and break these longs, and because these are higher levels, I think this might even be a weekly on an even higher level. they they provide a lot more resistance than your average lines. You know, a half an hour line is not going to have as much impact as one of these, you know, a day or 4 hour chart lines. So you can really play them with some confidence, and don't play when you're in the middle, because there's no point. The cool thing about this study is now it's not just being able to add higher level zones to a lower chart, but these lines are also on mobile. So people who wanted to play with these on mobile now can. They're not as pretty, and you don't get the zones in between. You just get the lines. But it is pretty cool to have it on mobile. So you know, try it out, see how it works. It should give you some really good entries and exits, and it's I don't know. I'm pretty excited after using this for a day or two. It's been really nice for giving me more patience in my entries to wait for these actual, you know, more solid spots. And it's also given me more confidence to stay in my trades. You know, once I have a profit target set, I can sit through all of this. Whatever's happening in here is irrelevant until I hit that next profit target, or get to a point where the price action turns it around. And you know, at that point you can lock in profits at you know, whatever, 50% of the high water mark, or however you want to handle that it doesn't really matter. The big piece of it is that you have the confidence to get in and then stay in once you're green, because it's probably just gonna you know, it's a bigger picture that you're looking at now. You're not looking at the smaller price action. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I would like to hear about what other people think, and if you use it and it's useful, let me know. And if you have questions about how these are derived or how you can use them to trade, you should look up James LaFaith on Twitter. Thanks.